I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's
Shiny
or whatever.
There's nothing metal about that name. So, Booby's there though.
Booby's there for sure.
Very versatile name.
For timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori, where you, dear listener, can discover why Vincent is simultaneously the most compelling and frustrating individual on the internet, and why it's so hard to laugh me. Yeah, check it out. Also, we have In Memory from the band Black Sabbath. Shout out to everyone that hung out with us on the fireside last night. A couple heavy topics, but hey, sometimes you gotta vent, you gotta have that catharsis and let it out. Mm-hmm. Somebody ended up with a shirt. Much love to Chase Lacer, or Lace Chaser, I think his name was. Your shirt's on the way, my guy. So firesides are where we just talk, we hang out, all that jazz. Everybody comes together as a community. It's fun. We talk about music, sports, everything. Just any and everything, and all that jazz. So in this moment, we are doing Black Sabbath In Memory. This is for one of our villagers whose mom died recently of COVID-19, and this is unbelievable, guys, but it basically spread to her intentionally. I don't know if you guys have seen any of these videos where people are coughing on stuff or coughing at people. And I
had somebody do it to me in the store.
Yeah, I don't want to get, into a discussion about it, but it's real. And look, if you don't think it's real, but you take the precautions, and it can't hurt you, right? If, let's say it was all a big giant fake, but you take precautions, it can't hurt you. But if it is real and you don't take precautions, you can hurt yourself and a lot of other people. So just something to keep in mind, not something I'm trying to argue about.
We've had too many losses to think that it's not real.
Correct. And we've also had fellow villagers who've been literally afflicted with it, and one of them was close to not making it. Shout out to the big homie, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry, prayed that guy out of the hospital, that's for sure.
And another one. We had two villagers.
Yeah. So, anyway, this is for the big homie, and this is for... That guy can sing, bro. That guy is my. If I had a super band, he would be the vocalist for sure. What was going on with you? That song.
I can hear the song without thinking of our friend. You know. So it was just hard and sad, and I think that, you know, when you lose somebody that's super special, there's just like, you know, the way that he explained, you know, the lonely feeling, or you're the only friend I had, you're the one friend I had, you know, and like the haunting and stuff like that. Like it obviously, it makes me think about you, you know what I mean? Like if I didn't have you here, how much it would bother me. And I know that we have, it's always sad to me when dealing with these situations, when I have you right here, and you know, like people have experienced losses, and you've experienced losses, and I have too, but mine weren't like super, you know, my uncle died younger, but just situations like this are just, they're just heartbreaking. And I wish that there was like something, like, remember we had that friend and she had lost her husband, and people just wanted to fix the situation, and so they were like, well, you should get a boyfriend. It's like the stupidest thing. Like, she doesn't need a boyfriend right now. Like, she needs time to heal. What is wrong with you people?
Yeah.
You know? But being on the other side and watching someone in pain, like, you want that to be fixed. Just like when somebody loses a pet, you're like, oh, well, you should get another one. Like, that doesn't fix the situation.
Yeah.
Like, your heart has to heal, and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't fully heal. Like people are so unique and so special, and God made them so intricately that their loss is missed. And you know, I think that there's something about it that kind of makes you feel like there has to be, like, obviously we're Christians, so we believe that there is more on the other side. But like, I feel like, you know, sometimes that death can make us think, well, there's got to be, like, it cannot be that is it for that person, you know what I mean? Like, they were too great for this to be it, you know? So
Yeah.
you know, and his voice, he has a great voice, and
His deal, man.
it was way too short, the song. Like, I felt like I needed to sit in the sound for longer.
Yeah.
But I don't know, but I thought to myself, well, if this song was not something that was like something that somebody else wrote and he sang, but actually something that he wrote, it may have been too painful to do more than 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know?
I can see that. You know, the whole life must go on line, you know, is I've always said that the most underrated event in Jesus' life is his burial. Because that, you know, people talk about doing it for closure, and it's like it was over for them, and they had to endure that feeling, you know, I remember, you know, I had to speak at my mom's funeral because my brothers were basically out of commission, you know, and so I kind of had to step in there and, you know, do what I had to do. But it was just crazy seeing the casket, you know, I was looking down at the casket and knowing that this God to me, like my mother was like God to me. Like, she was just such a massive personality, and then to see, and the casket always looks smaller than you would have expected it to be. And to know that my mother was in that, I just had to like, you know, cut that part out of myself and go, because, you know, my brothers, we wanted her memorialized, and but he, you know, none of them could do her the justice, so I had to kind of, you know, go in there and do it. But, you know, I lost my mom, I guess you could say, under unexpected circumstances. Anytime someone dies of COVID, it really gets me, because we had a person downtown, you know, we've talked a lot about working in the downtown area, and she was extremely vulnerable because she had cancer and other immune system issues, and, you know, they basically told her, it's over, you're done. you're done. I've been hearing some very weird stories.
Yep.
About healthcare and I'm thinking out loud here because, like I always say, there's things we don't know, there's things we're ignorant of that unless you're in the middle of that world you don't know. But just I've been reading some strange articles about some decisions that are getting made. I mean, I don't envy any healthcare professional right now because I think a lot of them are saying, I did not sign up for this. You know, like, this is crazy. You know, we've had 127,000 deaths in, 3 to 4 months. You know, it's, I've got a friend in another forum who is a healthcare worker, and she's so frustrated. And it's just because them being underfunded on one hand, but then on the other hand, she's watching people on Facebook give out their opinions, and it's like, you're not in the field. Like, she's on the ground doing this stuff. That thing is no joke, it really isn't. But life has to go on, like, you gotta. I think a lot of times, like, the big thing about people, like, moving on in a death, especially a sudden death, like, you almost feel like you're betraying the person, leaving the person behind, But there's a song I listen to a lot from a band, I'm not gonna mention them, but, like, there's a couple lines in there that are expressing my fear of forgetting things about my mom, And that's the big thing is, like, that I worry about. Like, I worry I'll forget some things about my mom, or some times that we had, or some conversations or whatever. So yeah, I was thinking a lot about that last night. It's like a really, really big thing for me, is I want to make sure that I can, keep that memory of her and keep pushing. But so how old was she?
She's 53. She's younger than my mom. But he's younger than me.
Right.
So it's about the same thing. Right.
Yeah, man. It's funny because we were talking about Orion, and we were talking about, like, you wanting boys and stuff, and what was your big thing was that boys are so loyal to their mothers or whatever. So, yeah. And when I hear you talk about it in more detail, I'm like, yeah, it really is true. Like, it really, really is true. But, man, a lot of people right now in our country, like, have gotten terrible phone calls that they're completely unprepared for. Because I remember, like, I remember when my brother called me. I was literally packing up on the way to that trip, and he's like, yo, man. And the minute I heard him, I knew it. I was like, okay, all right, here it is. Because I was waiting for that call. And yeah, it was that. That was the end of my mom. So, tough stuff. I got another friend who in 2 days...
Were you sitting in my kitchen when you got that call?
Well, I had the suitcases and I was driving over because they used to drop me off at the airport. And he was trying to get confirmation from the police department. Because somebody had told him, one of my mom's friends from over there had told him. But we were trying to get, my brother had called the police department. And so when you saw me, I had just gotten a call from the police department. So that confirmed.
You're like, you're not a hysterical person, so, like, your reactions are, like, sometimes confusing to me, and so it was, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, for me, if I got something, I'd be like very dramatic about it.
Yeah.
And so, like, it looked like something was wrong, but I didn't know really. And then, even when you told me, like, obviously the whole thing just feels not real anyway because it's so horrific. But then on top of it, like the way that you say it, you know, because you're not like...
Well, I mean, my big concern at the time was that my brother was on the road in his car. Mm-hmm. And he actually ended up getting pulled over by police, which I'm very grateful for. But I had to explain to the police what was going on and why my brother was acting all erratic or whatever. I think the cop gave him a break. I forgot what happened, but shout out to the NYPD for that. But yeah, my younger brother took it pretty hard. So yeah, it's crazy. So, you know, Ludwig said it. A little boy's best friend's always his mother.
That first line, I didn't understand. No one told me the way I should feel.
Well, I think that's just handling grief.
You'd think it would say no one told me the way I would feel. Because there's no way that you can explain how you're going to feel in that exact moment. But the way I should feel?
Well, what happens is you just think anytime people hear grief, they just go to sadness. But there's a million emotions, especially with an unexpected death. There's anger, there's things like that. And there's sometimes you feel like I shouldn't feel this way. Mm-hmm. You know, because whatever. So a lot of people... So I think that that's talking about handling grief and being confused by his own feelings about it. As far as, why am I feeling this way? Why am I mad at the person? That's a big thing. Sometimes you get really angry at the person. If they did it intentionally or not. You just get angry at them because they're not here anymore. And so you end up thinking that you're crazy and there's something morally wrong with you. Mm-hmm. Because all the projections of grief are always they're just sad and whatever or lonely, but they don't ever really show the person being angry at the other person for being dead. It's a very, very strange thing, but it happens a lot in unexpected deaths or you know. So that's what I took from that. So, and then, you know, especially if you believe in God, you get angry at God or you feel let down or disappointed by God. That's a whole other thing where you're like, I shouldn't feel this way. You know, so I was telling somebody that had a pretty significant loss in their life earlier today. I'm like, you can't judge a grieving person. You know what I mean? Like, they're words for the wind, as Job said. Mm-hmm. So, and that means you can't judge yourself either. If you have crazy, wacko feelings or expressions in the midst of your grief, you know, cut yourself some slack. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you've got a friend that's, you know, channel our size, we've probably got people that have lost someone. You know, just be there for them. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have any answers other than I'm here, you know? So, I know, a little bit corny, but try it out. We got to stick together, y'all.
Yeah, it's when I think about, because obviously, you know, like you said, a channel our size, like, we hear a lot of different stories and people. I always feel like, wow, like these people share their pain with us, you know, like that's a very special thing, like that, you know, like, or I guess like a private thing, a private feeling that you have in like a broken heart, like, and then I feel like that, you know, people, they bring it to us through, you know, email or on Patreon or, you know, there's lots of different ways that people communicate to us, you know, what they're going through and stuff. And like, there's sometimes where I just think, like, I don't know, obviously, what any of these, unless they send us a picture. Other than that, I don't know what any of these people look like. And so I think a lot about, like today I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw this picture of, it was a very simple drawing, like a single line that created a woman holding up a child, but then it looked like the child had been erased, and it was talking about like any, you know, moms that had lost their children, and it obviously was, you know, sad for me because we lost a baby. So I think a lot about the baby, and I think about your mom, and I think about a lot of the people from our channel, and I think, you know, we're Christians, so for some reason, it talks in the Bible about that there's gonna be like a big feast, and I just picture like, you know, on the holidays, my family used to have big long tables, and everybody was like around these tables, and you know, for the most part, I actually have really good memories about the holidays and everybody being there, and you know, us kids crawling underneath the tables, and you know, it was good times, and I enjoyed it. And a lot of our events growing up were surrounded around food. Like, I don't know if it's like what everybody does, or like any church event, it always had food. Every family event, there was always food on everything. So like when I picture like when the Bible uses the words talking about it being a feast, you know, and I always picture like your mom, and I don't really know like the theology of what happens like when you lose a baby. Like sometimes I think about it and I'm like, I don't know, I'm probably not going to get there, and there's probably not going to be like a little infant that I'm going to pick up. Like, you know, that child is not going to stay an infant for you know what I mean? Like, but for some reason I think I picture the baby the age that it would be. So, and I always picture like your mom has the baby on her lap, you know, at the table, and then all these people around the table, but of course I don't know their faces because I've never seen them, so it's not like a scary like, oh my god, these are like a bunch of faceless people. It's just like almost like a soft blur where I can't see who they are, and we're all around the table, and then you and I are there, and like then it's like all the people from the channel that knew the people that had already passed, and they're all coming up, and we're all around the table, and we instantly, like, the moment that you see them, you know who they are, even though you never met these people in your life. And so like sometimes I like just to think about that, because it seems like, I don't know, just like the warmth of a fire, or like it's gonna be good, you know. And we had done another dedication, like a review that was dedicated to somebody not long ago, and you had said, you know, more or less like, inshallah, you know, we'll see your, I don't know if you said inshallah, we'll see your grandfather, to Ben. And then he was saying his grandfather was a very religious man and stuff like that, and so he hopes to see him too, you know, like, and just like the thought of that we'll all be there. And we've only seen you guys through our channel. Like, it's weird because I've said this before, we're looking at a camera right now, but I don't feel a camera. Like, I feel like we're with everybody. And so when people email us and they're like, oh, like I feel, you know, this way or that way when I watch you guys' videos, or I'm, you know, like, I just feel like that we're kind of like a family, you know, even though we're on social media. And like, I think that sometimes people say we're a family, and that's like a way to like, it's like kind of like fake, and it's like something that people say. Like sometimes like it could be like Progressive Insurance. They're like, we're a family, or I don't know if it's Progressive, and you're like, what are you talking about? But it like literally feels like that, and you know, I think that you guys feel it too, and so there's something special that we all have here. And so, you know, for our villager that shared this with us, like, you know, we feel you, you know, we've cried with you, you know, and we're talking about you on our walk, and,
yep.
You know.
That's the big thing that gets me about this channel. It's like, we'll be going for a walk, or we have free time, and it just, conversations drift to the people. Mm-hmm. It's the strangest thing.
Yeah. It's
a real, I always get a little bit uncomfortable when we say that, because I'm like, I feel like these people like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, your free time, you're talking about people on the internet? Okay. But it's hard when people tell you all that stuff to not have them be in your mind and your heart.
Yeah.
You know, we had our little prayer board. I was surprised. I mentioned the prayer board in the fireside last night, and I was fully expecting people to just, you know, band and lead the charge to make fun of it and all that, but people were saying, hey, put us on the prayer board.
I'm looking at it and
Kept
I'm like,
a list.
Yeah. I'm like, we're gonna have to get a bigger board.
But, you know, hey, you know, our policy has always been to be as brutally honest as we can be from how we see the world. So I know the review might have been a little bit of a downer, but we're trying.
it's the song and it's Homeboy. He was in the chat.
I mean, what did you expect?
Was he in the
It's
chat?
In memory.
He was in the.
Yeah,
you
he
know.
was hanging out on the fireside with us.
So, anyway, shout out to the big homie. Obviously, this is Getting a Silent Count from me. Great song.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is maybe Iommi, you could have done an extended solo or something like that. I didn't really want to leave the song.
I didn't.
It's
I
only
really didn't.
2.5 minutes.
I didn't. Yeah.
But I think maybe that's what they're trying to communicate in the song. That the person's life was cut short too early, and that there was more that could have been done. So
I
from
think you're
that
completely right.
from that perspective, it's probably a genius move. So,
Right.
Because everybody who dies early because we were never supposed to in the first place.
Love you, my G. Let us know in a couple weeks how you're doing, huh? Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.